In today's video, I want to talk about how to invest £10,000 in property, and I've got 7 different ways that you can do it. Hi, my name is Tony Law from Your First 4 Houses, and my channel is all about helping you achieve financial freedom through property. If this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification icon so that you don't miss out on any of the free content that I give you each and every week. So let's really quickly set this up. Let's imagine that you've got £10,000 to invest and you want to build a passive income, i.e. not an income that's based on you flipping properties on a regular basis. It needs to be relatively passive, and you want to actually replace your job-based income within, say, a couple of years. So the first thing to recognise is that, sadly, £10,000, it isn't a huge amount of money to get started. And so that £10,000 needs to work really, really hard for you. You can't afford to lose it. So I see this whole process as having 2 distinctly different stages. The first is to build your investment pot. So by that, what I mean is you're going to take that £10,000 and turn it into 15. You're going to take the 15, reinvest it and turn it into 20, the 20 into 30, the 30 into 50, and so on and so on. Only then should you move to the second stage, which is to build your cash flow. So by that, I'm talking all about you not focusing on your cash flow today. So if you're in a job that you hate, sadly, you've guessed it, I'm suggesting that you stay in that job that you hate, at least for now, at least until you built that pot so you can start investing a little bit more cash into better cash flowing type deals. You see, in my opinion, property is never going to be a get rich quick scheme. I know other people say that it might be. I don't think that that's the case. If it takes you 12 to 24 months to replace your income, I think that's okay. It took me 18 months to replace my income from my kitchen business as an example. And as I say, I think that's okay. So first things first, you've got £10,000. I'm going to suggest that you carve off £1,000. So you're going to use that £1,000 to cover things like expenses. So you're going to put that in the bank, and you're going to use it to cover things like your business cards, maybe attending some property networking events, or indeed business events for that matter. There's usually a cost associated with that. I would love you to pay for a conversation with a property savvy accountant, for example. So in reality, you've actually only got £9,000 of investable cash. So what can you do with £9,000? Well, first, the really obvious one, you could flip a cheaper house. And there are places in the country where you could take your £9,000 and buy, as a deposit, and buy a cheaper property. But please, please, please be really pessimistic, really, dare I say it, negative about the numbers. Because so many people get called out in this regard. And if you're a single person, dare I say, is there an argument to move to that area? To move into that new location so that you can really be on the ground and actively finding deals in that area rather than it maybe being 4, 5, 6 hours drive away from where you are? Could you perhaps turn a 1-bedroom flat into a 2-bedroom flat, thereby adding massive real value? In some areas you could do this with £9,000 working capital. So here, I know I've talked about this before, but I'm referring to you find a place with a really big loungy kind of area, and you take the kitchen out of the kitchen space and you put it into more of an open plan kind of lounge kitchen living area, and you turn what was the kitchen into the 2nd bedroom. This can be a fantastic way to add real value. Could you perhaps control a property using a property option and then add some real value? Now, if you're not aware what a property option is, very, very, very briefly, it's the ability to actually control a property. So you have the right to buy that property, but not the obligation to do it, to buy it. There's a lot more to it than that, but very, very briefly, that's what it is. And it's a great way to actually control properties, meaning that you don't necessarily have to put a lot of money into the deal. And then once you've controlled it, you add some real value. And so here I'm not talking about, you know, a lick of paint. I'm talking about real value. You're going to maybe get planning permission to build in the garden, maybe turn the property to 2 houses, 2 flats, etc. In fact, if you want some really great examples of how you can add real tangible value, click on the link here and it will take you through to my property mini course. It's completely free, and in there I'll run you through 12 really detailed ways that you can add real tangible value to most properties. By the way, if you're finding this video in any way helpful, it would be awesome if you could just click on that like button. It really helps me, if that's okay. Could you perhaps do 2 rent to rents? Now, I know I mentioned earlier on that right at this first stage, it's not about cash flow. Well, I still think this applies here. I'm suggesting that you do 2 rent-to-rents for a different reason. I want you to do a rent-to-rent or 2, because you could just about do that with 9 grand, because I want you to document everything that you do with those 2 projects. So I'm talking you're going to film before and after walkthroughs. I want you to do before and after photographs. I'd love you to get on camera. You know, like I kind of do it. It's great fun, but do it, and that way you're going to be building up your kind of your social media presence, your presence in the world that's out there, in the property world, and it's a great way to kind of attract investors to work with you. But more importantly, by the time you finish that project, by the time you've got PDFs showing those before and after photos, some before and after videos, as I mentioned, maybe before and after floor plans and so on. When you're sitting down opposite a property, opposite an investor who's got, say, 100 grand in the bank, and they sort of look at you and they say, do you know what, I like everything about what you're saying to me, but what have you done before? That's when you can bring out those 2 examples. It's a great way to demonstrate that you're walking the walk. You could use that £10,000 to advertise for motivated sellers. Now again, if you're not sure what a motivated seller is, please check out my mini course, because I talk all about it in there. But this is a fantastic way to find really awesome deals. And often when you're working with a motivated seller, you're going to be using creative solutions that don't require you to put in a big deposit. Again, there's a lot that I could talk about here, but we don't really have time in that regard. And to be honest with you, that's how I built my portfolio. I used to work solely with truly motivated sellers. And it's a great way to build your portfolio really, really quickly. Could you JV with the seller? This sounds like a really weird one. But in some scenarios, if the owner of the property is just going to take that money once he's sold it and he's simply going to put it in the bank, could you maybe actually work with them and just simply add some substantial value to that property? So they're going to be doing most of the funding here. You're going to use your money to maybe control the property using an option, for example. And it's a great way to actually work a win-win solution with a seller of a property, maybe somebody who's been sitting on the market for 18 months, for example, without being able to sell. So again, here you're going to be looking at adding real substantial value, and you're going to use your £9,000 to pay for things like the legals, like the planning, maybe surveyors, this kind of thing. And then again, you split that uplift in value once you've added the value with the seller, maybe do a kind of 50-50 win-win deal. Could you maybe become a deal sourcer? Now you're going to use that £9,000 now to actually secure deals, I would suggest, with regards to options. Plus you're also going to use that £9,000 to pay for any marketing costs and so on, so that ultimately when you sell that property on, your money is going to be absorbed into that. It's a great way to actually, again, build your pot up really, really quickly by making smaller lumps of capital, smaller lumps of cash really quite quickly. As an example, I once paid a sourcer £10,000 for a deal, and to be really honest with you, for the same deal, I'd do that every day of the week if I could, because it was a fantastic deal and it made me a lot of money. So that is another really good example for you. So there you go, that's 7 different ways that you can take £10,000 and invest it in property. And if you want to check out my mini course, simply click on the link here or in the description box below and I'll get lesson number 1 straight out to you.